Hello, everyone, and welcome to MUPO and Friends. Our special guest today is a multi-talented, award-winning recording artist with an alluring voice. She's an actress and a filmmaker. She's also a social influencer who started her own production company, La Strega Entertainment, now Bolana Entertainment, to create her own vehicles, as well as help other people achieve their dreams. Please welcome Tamela DAmico. Hello, Tamela.
Hello, Tamela.
Hi there. Hi, girls.
How
So,
are you?
I'm good, hanging in. We're opening up here in Los Angeles, but we're still in pandemic mode, so it's a very slow climb out of the rock, but it's hanging in, trying to stay creative.
and for the record, people, Holly may have this one, but originally she is from the East Coast. So
I think it's
you
an
got this
even.
point.
We each got 1 point. We each got 1 point. One for the West Coast, one for the East Coast.
Yes.
So I want to get started by asking you about, obviously I'm a musician myself, and a singer as well. And I want to ask you about jazz. What made you pick jazz as your genre?
So it's an interesting question phrased that way because people always ask that in a roundabout way. I am the youngest of five Italian children from Long Island, and my siblings are older than myself. There's a large age gap between us, and I think my mom was like trying to hang on to her last little baby. I didn't go to preschool, and I would watch something that would come on at the time called New York's Nostalgia Network, which was sort of like Turner Classic Movies, right?
Yes.
So it was like Lucille Ball, Judy Garland, all these old movies. I watched black and white stuff from the time I was like 4 years old. And I think, from watching those movies, which of course bore the American standards and whatnot, and where everyone was a multi hyphenate and you had to be good at everything, I thought like that was the path. This is my new theory after being interviewed this whole month, basically, about this movie that I just did. I think because those old Hollywood movies, like I said, you had to be a singer, you had to be a dancer, whatnot, it affected me. So I just thought, you have to be good at everything. You have to learn everything to sort of be an entertainment person. And my love of American standards came from there, as well as, like I said, I'm Italian. So we had Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin and the Rat Pack, and Peggy Lee was big in my house. So it just sort of was innate, like I was an old soul, but then those things globbed onto it. So my love of jazz just came from that was the music I was presented. And, I just went with it. So jazz is my heart. When I first came to LA, I started working with Dr. Dre's people doing sort of pop R&B. And I was like, this is not, at the end of the day, do you want to be singing about TNA and like hip hop and pop music when you're older? Or do you want something that will stand the test of time? And jazz was always my heart. And I just had to keep waiting for that opportunity where somebody was like, oh no, it's okay to do that. So that's my long-winded answer. And then the button on that is when I was a kid, I saw When Harry Met Sally, and I was like, there's a younger voice singing the songs that I love. Like, who is that? And Harry Connick Jr. had a huge effect on me being willing to let myself tell everyone, like, I want to be a jazz artist and it's okay because a young person's doing it at the time.
I love it. Jazz is sexy.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to, that leading to the next thing I was going to ask you was I saw you in a duet with Billy Vera in New York, who's actually going to be on our show in a couple of weeks. So he just loved you. And you guys sang a beautiful duet together. I was going to ask, have you ever worked with Harry Connick Jr.? Because I could completely see you doing a duet with him.
Yeah, I would love to work with him. I thought I was going to have the opportunity. I was up for this Broadway show that he was doing. And it's one of those things where, like, sometimes it's okay that you didn't get it because it didn't work out for him either. So I think I don't remember the woman who ended up getting the role, but I think it played like for a week on Broadway and then it closed. So I was like, well, at the end of the day, I wouldn't want to be known for the person that duetted with Harry and closed the show. But I thought that was going to be my opportunity. And I thought, wow, what an amazing experience to do like a 7-day run, a Broadway show with Harry Connick Jr. singing these wonderful songs. But that didn't work out. And not yet. He doesn't really tend to duet much. So I don't know, but hopefully one day.
We just put it out in the universe, so it's going
That's
to
right.
happen.
I might have to call him after this.
Yeah, I'm big on manifestation. So I think
I see the
MUPO,
candles in the
MUPO.
background.
Right.
I
No,
see.
those are actually
What are they? Lights?
they're lights, but they look like, I just love Christmas lights all year round, and our
It's
Christmas tree was
Italian.
there.
That's
Yes,
Italian.
our Christmas tree was there, and now I still have like our little gnomes too for Christmas, and I'm just like, oh, I can't let them go yet.
I think they should have Christmas lights all year round.
Me too.
It's beautiful.
A lot of
Yeah.
people do.
Not
Yeah.
necessarily the Christmas tree, but the lights outside coming into the house, and I just think it's awesome.
It's just a cheery feeling, and I feel like it's a lot of people in LA actually have not taken down their Christmas lights. I think people are not willing to let go because we're in the house, so it's like I said, we're just
Ambiance.
starting to come out. Yeah, but it's a nice cheery
Yeah.
sort of ambiance for sure.
And it's snowing here right now.
I
On the East Coast,
know.
you guys are missing the snow.
I
It's
know.
got
I do.
cold
I
and
miss
sunshine.
it.
It's cold and sunshiny here.
It is, yeah.
So
It's weird, right? Like one day it'll be really hot and then at night it's 46 degrees and vice versa. You're like, what's going on? Yeah.
so it cools down at night over there. I may have to go to LA. I don't know. I'm dreading it because I haven't been there in such a long time, and I am just so fixated on Jersey and New York. Like if you
Why
know,
though?
I'll
Why
tell
are
you,
you fixated?
I happen because everything is here in Jersey. Everything is in, like, I could just go, hey, you know what? If I want to go to a recording studio, lay down some tracks, I don't even have to go out anymore. I go in, I could do it here, but I'm saying I had a recording studio. And then if I want to play, like for instance, New Jersey and New York. If you want to be in the entertainment business and you want to be in the music business, New York and New Jersey, is the right place to be when all the bars are open and you're playing and you're hopping from club to club, and people do that. Like it's people say, oh, it kind of reminds me of college. Well, it's college but in an adult form because we love music.
Yeah.
We love Broadway, we love music. We appreciate the finer things in life over here
Yeah.
on the East Coast. On the West Coast, and I don't care how many actors or actresses get on my ass for this, but no offense, if you guys came to New Jersey on a cold, snowy day, you would really understand the meaning of family. You would.
Boom. She said it all.
I believe you
No,
on
I
that.
think it's true. I mean, in LA, I feel like I've developed my own family here. I mean, as you do as you get older, your friends become your family. But in Los Angeles, it's extremely important to have your core group of people, especially now when people are sort of been locked in their houses and stuff. You realize this whole like the past year and now this year, you really realize like who and what is important in your life more
Amen.
so than ever. And in Los Angeles, you have to build your family and it takes work because in New York, it is pedestrian. So you can hop from bar to bar. If you told
Exactly.
somebody, if you told somebody in LA, I'm going to be at the Catalina Jazz Club, and then at 10, I'll be at Vitello's, they'd be like,
Never
I'm
gonna
not sure
make
if I
it.
can make either. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's too
just
much traffic.
different kind of lifestyle. And the priority is normally on what people's individual goals are for the day, not entertainment after they're working in entertainment. It's just different.
So I have a very interesting question because I'm just curious about this. You live in Los Angeles, and I know you've been to a recording studio in New York. Which do you prefer better? Because the producers obviously have a different swagger. So, I mean, if if you're recording jazz, are you doing it on Pro Tools? I mean, they want to know this. They want to know the real you.
Okay, so here's the thing. I am not a usual suspect. Like I am exceptionally spoiled when it comes to recording. Like my first professional thing besides little demos and stuff when I was younger, it was at Capitol Records. So it's like I am so spoiled. And then Glenwood Place here. I've recorded in New York at a small studio, and forgive me, the name is escaping me, but it was like a mom and pop type place in comparison. So I've had the best of the best. I've recorded with the best of the best. I am so super grateful for all those experiences. Capitol Records now, as of last month, there's rumored that it's being torn down, which I hope it's not. We've saved it once before, but I mean, it's a historic building. But Yeah, Pro Tools. I've even in the past recorded to tape. I mean, I've done it a million different ways, but with the best of the best, I'm not technical that way. I don't want to be. I feel like I have enough arms in my career. I don't want to be running a board, an engineering board. It's so much work, but it's like when I have really great dog ears and I can tell you, I'm like, that string was off or, but I don't want to be running that. I don't want to get into Pro Tools. It's my least favorite thing. I like to come in and like make changes or listen, but I don't like to physically do that stuff. Which I feel like that's not really my forte. That's not my job. But yeah, I've been very fortunate to record where I have and with the people I have and be produced by the people I have. And man, I wish I could do it more. I'm getting ready to. I've recorded that album actually that I recorded in New York. I've never released. I have 2 albums I've never released because I was not happy with them. And I feel at some point I'll take them out of the dungeon and have somebody work on them and make them sound a different way. And it's not because like I didn't like my voice or anything like that. It's mainly because the way it was recorded was so different from how I was used to it being recorded. There's some leakage on some of the, in jazz, there's horns, there's so many different things. And it's like if it's not in the right room, and if things are rushed, there's some bleed. And my ears are so sensitive. I just didn't love it. So I was like, I'm going to sit on this for a bit. Now I am moving into a new genre, not really new, but probably new for my fans. Before I sort of broke in America, I had a number of electronica hits in Europe that I just went by Tamela, and it was just a job. Like I never intended that to be a career. And my parents were in Italy, and my mom's like, I'm in a cafe and I'm hearing your voice. I didn't know you released it. And I was like, oh, I didn't know I released it either. And this producer this producer had released me and I had to go back and get the money and all this stuff. But what I'm doing now, what I'm working on now is electro swing.
Wow.
Have you heard of it? Yeah. Because I just feel like it's the new 20s. I hate even announcing this because I feel like everybody's going to do it now, but it's the new 20s and jazz is my heart. Big band is my heart. 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s jazz is my heart. But people are home and they're doing stuff and they want to dance. And I love to dance. So I'm like, I'm just going to put them together.
Interesting.
That's what I saw. I saw a little snippet but it was it was done as just the music, but it had your image on there and it was a song by you. But it was more electro. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's something. Oh, and that's the thing. Like that track. By the time we found out that those producers had released it in Europe, it had done so well already. Like people were looking for it on the internet in America. Like, where can we find this? And I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, well, this is your name. I'm like, no. Oh my god. So I mean, stuff like that happens all the time. Unfortunately, yeah.
It does.
And I hear you like to record with live bands as well, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, in this day and age, most
in jazz
artists,
you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a true jazz artist and you really want to feel that music and get the essence of where those those lyrics and things are going, which come from stories of the stage, you got to really vibe with your team. And most music nowadays is recorded synthetically, and then somebody comes in and sings, does the voice over a track that's been created. I love to perform with a big band. It's like driving a freight train. If you screw up, that thing just keeps going. You got to be on top of it, if they're going fast, you got to go faster. I mean, it's one of those things. But yeah, I this is different in way that we have live instruments that are going to be on it, melded with the electronic.
So I'm obsessed with big band, like Keely Smith, like, this is like, because she's Italian and I'm Italian. So we're raised with that. That's real music where they did it on a 2-track live. Nowadays they go into the studio and it's just like, oh, let me press this button to raise the volume. Let's auto tune this. And, the meaning of a real singer, I'm really excited. I can't wait to hear your stuff.
Holly, aren't you Italian too?
My name is it's a given name. It's a chosen name. So, but I should be. I could be. Definitely. Yeah. I've been accused of being Italian many times, so I took it on.
Yeah, because Lombardi.
She acts like Italian. She has the she acts like Italian. Trust me.
Lombardi is a very Italian name. Lombardi is very Italian.
I got a really good name. Like Vince Lombardi. So I'm proud of it. We are here
That
with Tamela DAmico, and we are
Yes.
going to take a momentary break, and we will be right back with more about entertainment and other avenues that she has in her career. Hello, everybody. We are back with MUPO and Friends and Tamela DAmico, and we are talking all things jazz and entertainment in the movie industry. So, welcome back, Tamela. And I know you got into producing with the show The Timer. Why producing?
Oh my God, you did a deep dive. Timer game or something like that it was called, wasn't it? So what happened was, that is a longer story than probably anyone wants to hear, but I was on a reality show called On the Lot, which was looking for the next best director by Steven Spielberg and Mark Burnett. I met a filmmaker there named Kai, and she was offered a job to direct The Timer Game, it was called. Pardon me. She was offered a job to direct a prequel to a novel that was coming out. Pardon me. And she had, the financing for it, and she had the idea to do this web series before web series were cool. And she just didn't have somebody to sort of lead her down the path of producing it. And I already had done a number of things that like that. So we did it, and it was something that I did not remember until this moment. So thanks.
Flashback.
Yeah.
you were also
but that's
a dancer.
not where I started. That's not where I started producing. I mean, I went to film school, and like as I said, as a kid, I was very much into all things entertainment. So I learned all trades. And my dad was very astute in letting me know that I should learn all things, because if ever I lost a job and fell down the ladder, I would be able to take on something else. And that was probably the best advice I've ever gotten for the business. And he's not even in this industry, but he was like, if you know what everybody's job is, you'll never be out of work. And it's so
Amen.
true.
And I
That
say
is
that
so
all the
true.
time. That's what my father said. Hey, if you want to know how to build a house, pick up the hammer. That's what Italians do. I'm just going to stress on the Italian culture.
It's
but
true.
you were also a dancer on television, and the show was Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Oh my God, you guys, you went deep, man. You went deep back. Okay, so here's the thing. That was literally, I think that may have been my first time on television.
I remember that show.
Yeah. And it was a huge deal, because when I was a kid, I wanted to work with her, because at the time, I think Sabrina started in Florida and was at Disney World when there was a lot of filming going on there, TV shows. And then when I went to LA, they had moved the show out west. So I was like, oh, they asked me to be on this show and blah, blah. And my audition literally was like as a dancer. And then when I got there, there was like all these other dancers, and it was essentially like an extra role, really, is what it came down to. But I was dressed with like cat lady glasses in a very sort of 50s way. and it was completely ridiculous. But that's another thing I've forgotten about. You're bringing up stuff I'm forgetting, but yes, that I did do that, and that was super fun because you got to see, the inner workings of kids that I had watched on TV and see how they are as actors and people in real life and how the sets were. And now, of course, this is so relevant to me because I'm obsessed with the chilling adventures of Sabrina on Netflix, the new reboot of that. It's so good. If you guys have not seen it, it's so good. Way better. It's better.
Well, going down memory lane from
Oh, geez.
producing shows to movies, you did Volare and Game Over. What was it like transitioning television to producing film? Is there a difference in the way things politically are run on sets?
Yeah, I mean, television is a different animal. When people are like, "Oh, I got to direct an episode of blah blah blah," it depends on the show. Most television directing is technical, more so than when you're with a film director and they're getting in with the actors in a deeper way. And there's, it's just a different animal. It's as different as acting in commercials is different as acting in a TV, right? So, it's not like I transitioned. I was always doing all of these things all the time. And it's like whatever job came up was the job I went to. Volare was a story based on my father coming from Sicily to America as a boy that I had been writing since I was 16. And I had written a short and a feature and then short again. I pitched it as my thesis at Florida State Film School. And because I was producing somebody else's thesis, there was nobody there to take on my 1946 period piece to be a producer if I was directing. So they're like, this is expensive and we can't do it, but we love this. So I was like, give it back. I will do this on my own one day. So I had submitted this project, Volare, a short script to an Italian. We're stuck on the Italian thing on this podcast. People are just going to have the deal. But I submitted it to an Italian American Film Festival. And this is super important. I won the film festival with the script, and they were supposed to give me $50,000 in kind to make this movie with Dante Spinotti. All these famous Italian filmmakers were going to work on my movie about my father's experience coming to America. I had cast Federico Castellucci from The Sopranos. All these people were coming out in 2 weeks now to shoot my movie on the Universal lot in old New York and blah, blah, blah. And turns out the head of that festival stabbed me in the back. Sometimes you can't trust your own people. He took my award and made his own movie back in Italy. So I was like, how can this happen to me? I have all these people coming here. What do I do? In 2 weeks, I raised money to make my film. I called every person I had ever met in my entire life, being in Los Angeles, working with very well-known producers, everyone. People I had met once. You think that the people who are your close friends and family and coworkers are going to be the ones to help you? No, strangers, 100 strangers, plus my family, of course. But everyone came together, either raised funds, offered services. Sherry Lansing, who I had met a million years ago, she was just leaving Paramount at the time. And I called her and I was like, this bad thing happened to me. What can you do? She gave me the Paramount lot, the New York, Brooklyn section to film in for $1,000. I mean, it was like crazy how many good things were happening. And I was like, if I don't make this movie, I probably will. If I don't make this movie and I let this bad thing that that happened to me get to me, I will probably never make another movie again. So it was super important for me to like trudge through. I did. Federico Castellucci came out from New York. He was wonderful. He plays my grandfather, my dad's dad in the movie. And while we were shooting, I'm very much like a vibe, energy, spiritual kind of person. Weird things happen. My crane just stopped working. It was on a Sunday. And on Sunday, you cannot reach your insurance. And I had this one day to film at Paramount. So I was like, what do I do? So I went around the corner and I sat in this little bench and I'm like praying, like, please, somebody help me. And I look over and I'm in Lucille Ball's old office. And I was like, oh my God, Lucy, like, if you're up there, please help me, And in the next thought, I had this thing that I thought, if I make this movie, Steven Spielberg's going to see this film and something good is going to happen. The crane started working. We made the movie. It won tons of festivals. And lo and behold, Steven Spielberg's people saw this movie out at a film festival, and then they had started this, reality show looking for the next best director. And all those sort of things, I always go back to, God, if I did not have perseverance, and if I let that one bad guy get me, I would not be sitting here talking to you. You know what I mean? And I think there's so many stories like that, more so in Los Angeles, especially, than not. And it's so easy to get jaded here. And for me, it was like super important because it was my own people. And I'm like, even your own people can do this to you, And I don't know where that guy is today, but you can guarantee my mother sent letters everywhere
I'll
about
tell
him.
you, he's not on MUPO and Friends.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's lucky he's not a part of my family. Oof.
Yeah.
That's
not cool.
great story, and an extraordinary story of perseverance, of not being a victim, really believing in your dream, your talent. And I'm so proud of you. That's an incredible story.
And it was like a story about my dad. I thought, like, how can, this is my personal family history. Like, what are you doing, But yeah, it definitely set a trajectory then for a lot of things and a lot of doors to open. So yeah, definitely you have to persevere.
It had to happen for a reason.
Yeah.
It's the law of manifestation.
Right.
So, and a lot of people don't realize that, like, you really control your own destiny, and that's why you are where you are, and that's why you're awesome, because you don't allow people to get to you. No, it's true.
No, I don't. I really don't. Yeah.
It's one of those things. Now, I know you did a movie in India, right?
Yes, I did.
So I'm big on India right now because I have a lot of friends from India. I actually have relatives where Italians married some people from Gujarati. So I just want to know how the laws are different there with the disabilities, and tell us a little bit about the movie.
Okay, so again, law of attraction or weird things that happen. Here's a little magic for you. India is made of magic. Nobody can tell me any different because I've experienced it. But I was offered 2 movies prior to this, and my representation was like, you can't go there. We don't know the infrastructure. We can't send you to India and you're not protected. No, no, no. The second movie that was offered to me, I did not take. And then it ended up going to the Cannes Film Festival, and I was pissed because I was like, oh, that probably was a good movie. And I said no to it just because we were scared. So now this movie came about in a very magical way, which was the following bullet points of the story. I'll try to make it brief, but I went to Lake Shrine. I don't know if you've been there, Holly, but if you haven't, you definitely should go. Okay, so Lake Shrine is this beautiful Japanese garden that was built in the 50s by a yogi, and it's a non-denominational place where you go and you can meditate, and it's just a gorgeous place heading out towards Malibu.
I used to go there a lot. Love it.
It's like only magic happens there. It's
the beautiful
amazing.
swan.
Is that where you got the singing bowl?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, do I have a singing bowl?
No, you have to get one. We'll tell you.
Okay, so I go with my friend Jordan, who's very spiritual, and we're looking at the gardens. And when we decided to go over by the swan to go just meditate, we were being silly. So we went down by the swan and we're meditating. And no sooner do I close my eyes, I have this flash of India, like I'm there. So I was like, what was that? So I'm like, Jordan, I think I want to go to India. And he opens one little eye and he's like, it's already happening. 2 weeks later, I'm on my Facebook. I'm very tied into my social media, thank goodness. And I see this weird message from somebody I don't know named Rupam Sarma, who's the director of the movie. And he's like, hey, Tamela, I just wanted to reach out to you because I offered you this role in my movie and your representative said no. And I just want to really make sure that you did, that you said no. So I was like, what are you talking about? I don't know anything about this. Nobody told me, which is not cool. So I'm like, send me the script. I want to read it myself. So I read it and it was so beautiful. And it's like this eat, pray, love experience of this doctor going over to work with a disability institute with music theories and music therapy. And I was like, this is a gorgeous script. Why would they pass on this? And again, they thought, well, this is the 3rd time she's being offered something in India. She's going to say no because we already told her we can't protect her. So this director knew me from the Grammy Foundation. He's also a great accomplished musician. And I didn't know that. So he's like, listen, vet me, call 20 people and ask them, what they think of me. And I promise I'll protect you, anything you need, blah, 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 blah. So I did. And he was awesome. We went there. And the film is called One Little Finger. It champions the ability and disability. It has over 80 people with disabilities in the film. I had a very, like I said, eat, pray, love experience going over as an actor. I had never been to India. What my character was experiencing, I experienced. And it's one of the most beautiful things I think I'll probably ever be a part of. You get sort of like one of those in your career where you're like, that really touched my heart in a deep way and changed my life. I think that's the one. And, I came home after working on this movie for years. I was on it for 5 years and shot it for 3, and going back and forth to India, which was no small feat. And we actually opened and premiered in Cannes. So I was like, all those things. In addition, Quincy Jones, who was on my vision board, did music for the movie. Like all these magical things happened with this movie. Saida Garrett, who wrote Man in the Mirror, she plays my mentor in the movie. It was just like such a beautiful dream, and one of those things I could just like stick in my pocket for the rest of my life and be like, I did that. I love those people. I have thousands of Indian family members now, thousands. They're so loyal and beautiful just as a people and a culture. And now I can eat Indian food again after coming back, but I did eat it for like 3 years in a row.
Wow, what a beautiful experience. You definitely have the law of attraction going for you.
I'm
Absolutely.
trying.
Calling that in and really going with your gut. Now I know director, I'm gonna Rupam Sarma. Did I pronounce that
Yes.
correctly?
Rupam.
He really sheds some light on the disabilities. There's been Supreme Court cases dating back 50 years that it wasn't until George Bush that passed the ADA in 1990 that people with disabilities were really protected. And what are India's laws and how far ahead are they of us on disability?
I don't know. That's not something I actually know, technically speaking. I don't know what their laws are. I will say this, like in Indian culture, you have a lot of Indian gods and Shiva, I mean, like the arms, all that stuff. That is born out of like when a child is born and they have some sort of impairment, they're considered most times a god in some faith. I mean, there's so many faiths, but where we were, I can speak about where I was and this disability institute where we were, because it was a real place that we went to and that we shot in that actually exists that the movie is based on. I was blown away at the facility, at the care, at the goal reaching. I mean, the kids in the film, they trained for 6 months to be actors, but they were all really musicians. I mean, one girl, you can see her in the film, she's up front playing a little bongo. Her hands are like baseball mitts because she's been playing since she was an infant. So they've become musical instruments in themselves. So they celebrate all of those wins for all the people who go there and cater to that. Like, what is this person good at? There was one guy in the film who is, to look at him, you wouldn't know anything was going on. He doesn't have like a impairment that is naked to the eye, but he has bipolar and he's autistic and a number of different things. And I had no idea. I thought he was just part of the crew. And then he ended up being in the scene, and he has like a lot of rage sometimes that comes out, and maybe that's why they put him with drumming. But his skills as a drummer you're like, oh my God, this guy should be on a major stage. Like, he's incredible. But that's how he has gotten through his therapy. So Rupam, the director, had been researching music as therapy. I mean, if you listen to the Beatles, most of the Beatles music is at 528 megahertz, which is the frequency of love.
Yep.
So that's why it touches you. So when you watch this movie, the frequencies of the music, it's also like another experience in addition to watching the film. You're being activated by this music in the film as you're watching it. And that is part of the music therapy that is investigated and discussed in what my character is like, what her main goal is. Like, she has these theories, but she's never implemented them, and she goes there to implement them, and they actually work. And they work in real life. If you've seen like these, videos on Instagram or Facebook where there's dementia patients who are saying nothing, and then they play a song from their childhood and they're like back to their little girl days and they're dancing around, and it's like awoken something in their brain. And we are very tied to music. But as far as what the laws are, circling back to your real question, I don't know generally what the laws are. I can only say at this facility that exists, which is massive, it's a big campus, they were treated with such respect that I have never seen in the States. It touched my life in such a way. My dad has Parkinson's now. He's in and out of a wheelchair depending on what his day is like. And you have to think about things that you don't think of before, which is there a ramp in this building? How do we get in here? I didn't have to think about that before. And the point of the film is there is ability and disability, but at any moment, in any point of the day, anyone can become disabled, even you. Like anyone can. And then it becomes an issue for you. And the thing is that disability rights should not be looked on with charity. They are a human rights issue, which gets back to your whole thing about passing the laws. This is human rights. Why don't you look upon somebody who, has cerebral palsy and say, well, what are your dreams? What do you want to do with this life? You have these challenges, but what do you want to do? Why weren't those questions being asked before now, 2021, and past the Me Too movement and inclusion and diversity and all these things? It's super important. So in a way, now having done this movie, I'm an advocate for this. And this film and all the kids in the film have now gone on to do so many things they didn't think they could do before. And just to have them with inclusion on the screen and to have somebody else at home watch it and say like, oh, there's that actor, Den, look what he's doing in this movie. I can do that too. To know that that's being offered now is a huge leap. I mean, certainly I didn't think about that stuff when I was going to school, and now it's in school. It's important to have people first language, especially in journalism and podcasts and people talking, this is my sister, she's a nurse. Oh, she also happens to have cerebral palsy. You don't lead with she has cerebral palsy. Like that person goes over there in that bucket. That used to be the tendency. And I think, this film and other films like it are creating a change that is so needed. I mean, it's so antiquated, this way of thinking, that they need to be put elsewhere. They're people. They have goals. They have dreams like everyone else. And it needs to be celebrated. So that's what we're hoping to do with the film. There's a foundation attached to it. And I think Rupam's trying to make his mark, no matter what the laws are in that country or this country. There's a home and there's a way for people to achieve what they want to achieve. And if One Little Finger Foundation and this film can be, the voice of that, then so be it.
Where can people watch this film?
They can watch it anywhere that they buy and stream movies. I always direct people to Amazon because it's the easiest. Or Google or iTunes or any place you watch movies.
It is very touching. I saw the trailer and I watched a couple things on YouTube. Now I'm technically a disabled, like permanently disabled. Okay. So I want you to, if you can, explain your thoughts, your terminology on a person with a disability and a person who is actually disabled, like versus.
I just think it's language. That's just a language barrier.
When you were out in India though, like, because I know you said that people moved you, like they were very, music is really the way of life and people don't understand that. And first off, if you want to bring something to the United States where you want to do a benefit for this cause, I'm there. I mean, just let me know, we got you on that. But the thing is, people don't understand, like you were saying, like this is your sister who's a nurse and she's got cerebral palsy. People don't realize that it doesn't matter what disease you have or what disability you have, you can do anything. It's all about mind over matter. And because you're so spiritual, I'm going to go off the topic. If you wouldn't just share how spiritual you are and how you motivate people, because obviously you're motivating me right now. You really are.
We're like zooming all over the place. Basically,
that's what makes this original here.
I meditate once, at least twice a day. I have not been good about it in the past month or so, but I have my own meditation practice, which it pertains to waking up in the morning, being grateful for the day, doing a bowl of protection around me. Every artist should do this. Amen. Every person should do this before they leave the house. And, balancing and cleaning my chakras. And then whatever comes in, and whatever thoughts I want to happen for the day. I mean, you choose your day, you create your day. Amen. And it's like, this is one of those things. I remember one time I was working for a manager who represented Sam Jackson's wife, LaTanya Richardson. And they had called and they were in the middle of like they were busy and I was busy and I was like, I'm so sorry, I'm having the worst day. And Sam Jackson, like to drop a name, gets on the phone and he's like, Tamela, don't ever, ever say that. Don't ever saying you're having the worst day. He's like, when you start saying stuff like that, you walk down the street, then you stub your toe. And then the next thing happens. And he's like, you put it out into the ether. Do not say those things. Words have power. You're going to have a great day. And I remember getting off that phone conversation. I'm like, yeah, he's right. And I do think that way. Why did I say that? Words are so delicate. They are powerful. So my practice every day is to just check myself to be like, listen, you're stressed and your happiness is not dependent upon that stressful thing. You choose to be happy. And it's a constant daily practice, just like brushing your teeth. It's never the same every single day. It's not like I'm like, oh, I'm perfect every day. No, everybody has their bad days. And there's a constant reminder. Finally in my life, I have a wonderful partner, my fiance, who can check me like that. Like he's just like softens me. He's like, you're being ridiculous. And then I'm like, oh, I am being ridiculous. So it's just a check and balance of the day on where you are in your heart. And it's like, if something's stressing you, take a step back. And then by the end of the day, if you haven't recouped, it's okay. Meditate again, go to bed, and tomorrow you get another chance.
Every day is a new opportunity. They say from Brandon Dawson, who is somebody that we is a coach that we work with.
He's our genius.
Cool.
Your thoughts, your thoughts become words, your words become actions, your actions become your legacy.
Yeah.
So important what you start with. I've been doing a Bob Proctor meditation. It's a 30-day. I'm doing it more than 30 days, but it is just incredible. If on the days I don't, or I miss, or I start my day with something different, it's just not the same. It's so
really
important, like you
true.
said, to put that light around yourself.
You know what's so great about this? Like, I feel like there's a group think now where this is acceptable. Back in the day when Oprah started talking about the soul or meditation people were like, what, is she crazy? But now it's like everyone's doing it. And I like to utilize just different tools, just like an actor. I don't have like one practice, but there's a guy who does notes from the universe, Mike Tully. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's doing a 21-day meditation. I am so behind. You've just reminded me because I had a project I had to work on for 4 days. And I'm like, oh my God, I was doing that thing and it's online. It's at my leisure. But even though everything he is saying is stuff that you already know and you've done before, you need a maintenance rehearsal on yourself. It's like taking the car in for a tune-up and you're like, God, I stopped doing that. I need to write down, what those goals are in vague terms and throw them away and forget about them and let them know that, like, you already know the destination. The lovely part is taking that journey to get there. I'm a huge fan of The Alchemist, the book by Paulo Coelho.
Yes.
So for whatever reason, like I used to read this book every year since I was in high school, and then I stopped, and then I thought about it this year. Actually, the night I got engaged, I just recently got engaged. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah. In October, it was there at this restaurant bookshop, and I was like, oh, I have to buy this book. And as soon as I picked it up, I was like, why hasn't anyone made a movie about this book? It's like everyone loves this story. It's such a tale for like universal language. And now, of course, I looked, and last week they're in pre-production for this movie with The Alchemist. So I was like, it's so good because I think people are ready for it. They're able to accept it now in a way where I think people do understand thoughts are things, words have power. You have to be so careful about who you tell your dreams to. Your your sleeping dreams and your waking dreams, like your goal dreams, and also the dreams that you had last night when people are like, what does this mean? I dreamt about an owl, and somebody can tell you something and it could completely twist your whole frame of mind. And even if it's not true, so you have to be super, super careful. But I think people are learning.
People will put into it what they see, their perspective. So
yes.
If you really want an answer, they say the answers are within ourselves. If you want the answer, you have to be still and just allow yourself to go into that silence. So many people we live such busy lives, constantly justifying that we're busy and we have so much to do. yet we don't take the time to just be quiet and be still and allow our soul to speak to us. So
Mm-hmm.
very important to do. I know I love the energy with you. You are amazing, talented, beautiful. Definitely.
Thank you.
What's next for you on the forefront? What do you have up ahead? I'd
Sure.
love for you
I'm
to
not,
share.
yeah. I've stayed creative during the pandemic. Thank goodness. I've been very fortunate to, because of my social influencer content branding thing. It used to be in the industry, they would love to know what you were. Are you an actor? Are you a singer? Are you a filmmaker? You have to choose. And it's like, I don't have to choose. You want me to choose because that's easier for you. So I never said I'm only this one thing. I've always been a multi-talent. And now, of course, content is king. Being a content creator is king. If you can do everything, you get hired. So I have been hired so much in the past year when nobody was working as an actor or as a filmmaker, because I'm able to work from home with a lot of brands and content and stuff like that. So I'm going to continue to do that as we move and open up this year. Auditions are just opening up, so I don't know what's going to happen there. But for myself, I have two projects on deck. One is called Colorblind. It's an Asian American rom-com that I wrote with the writer who is about her life story, or loosely based. It's a comedy on her story of leaving her traditional Chinese culture and dating an African American guy, and her family sort of going crazy about that. And then the other one, I am one of the directors on the Antiviral Project, which takes stories of the pandemic experience from all over the world. And each culture has their own story. And it's not like a story about people being sick. It's just like, how did this person sort of get through the pandemic? And I chose to do one on the Lakota people, because I think Indigenous people do not have stories told enough about them in the mainstream. And they are our native people to our country that we are, foreigners coming to live in through our own history. And their culture is one based on spiritualness and the earth. And why don't we know about those things more? And what is their experience? And how can I be helpful in teaching that? So that one is also very lighthearted in the comedy, but it's all about a girl who has to go back to her Lakota reservation when she's been living in New York City during the pandemic. So it's quite fun. And we're just in pre-production for those. So I have two directing things in the forefront that I could tell you. Everything else is just up in the air. I mean, anything I'm attached to as an actor, we just don't know when it's going to start because of our, these hindrances on production.
Well, it has been an absolute pleasure to speak with
It
you.
really has.
The energy is, like I said, just incredible. The subject matter is everything that we've touched upon and what came out. You're definitely a deep thinker and a beautiful soul.
We
Absolutely
would
Thank
love to get you
beautiful.
you.
back
Very evolved.
on the show anytime, because your spirit is very unique.
Thank
When
you. Yeah, I would love to come back. And let's keep in touch on the music thing. I definitely want to talk
Yeah,
to you more about
I'll
that.
give you as soon as we're done.
your nickname would be Chameleon, because you do it
I'll
all.
take it.
You do it all, and a chameleon evolves and constantly, expands and grows. So very lovely having you on. I would like to do this thing where we fill in the blanks. So I'm going to
Okay.
say 3 sentences or phrases and you finish them. So confidence is.
Oh God, I'm going to school now. Okay, I got to take this test.
No test.
Okay, confidence is an asset.
Good answer.
Jazz.
Jazz is, jazz. Do I have to say jazz is?
You don't have to say is.
Okay.
Anything that you want.
Yeah, jazz is my heart. Jazz chooses you.
I find my strength.
I find my strength in the cohesiveness of my family foundation.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tamela DAmico. And it has been such a pleasure. Please keep an eye out for her. You can follow, subscribe to Tamela at Tamela DAmico on Twitter. That's TAMELA ALAD''AMICO, on Instagram at Tamela DAmico, on LinkedIn under Tamela DAmico, and at her website, tameladamico.com. And is there anywhere else that you'd like to them to go to for any of your charities or foundations that you're?
Oh yeah, you can go to the One Little Finger Foundation. If you just Google that, it'll pop up on Google,
Okay.
and that's on the One Little Finger website, and I think Rupam Sarma's website as well.
Awesome. And as always, you are watching MUPO and Friends. You can find this show and others at www.mupoentertainment.com. That is www.mupoentertainment.com. And until next time, this is Holly Lombardi with Tamela DAmico and our CEO, mastermind, and host, Michele MUPO. And we are over and out.
Yay!
Perfect. Okay, let me stop this.